zooming back into our final game, that is going to be Georgia heading to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. Number 2 versus number 13 here at your Sports Outpost. Minus 3.5 point favorites for the Bulldogs going into this, and that number is actually dropped, I think, from 4 or 5 to now 3.5. 31-17 last year. Not a good sign. If I'm not mistaken, since Josh Heupel has taken over as the Volunteers head coach, all of the close games have been in Athens. It has not been in Knoxville. And on top of that, Georgia has an 8-game winning streak against the Tennessee Volunteers. The last time the Vols won against Georgia was in 2016. And if I'm not mistaken, just like the Dabo Swinney loss to Georgia Tech, that was the year before Kirby Smart was in charge of Georgia. So they've technically, I think, never beaten the Bulldogs when Kirby Smart is the head coach. Who comes into this week 2-0. Last week they beat Austin Peay 28-6. Weather delay, that's kind of the reason why we saw that, and also some sloppy play on offense. 45-7 against Marshall in week 1 for the Volunteers and Josh Heupel, who also come in undefeated 2-0. 72-17 against East Tennessee State. Absolute slaughter last week in Knoxville. And then 45-26 on a neutral site field against Syracuse in week 1, which is a pretty impressive win. That defense did a great job, not only in stalling out stuff to allow the offense to get things going, but scoring some points themselves. But the big question is, the Bulldogs, or are the Bulldogs going to be scoring enough points in this game? Not liking the offense at the moment. Gunnar Stockton, we're going to be talking about him in a little bit. But maybe this is where, again, we see the Georgia defense having to score points to make sure that they have enough here on the road. This is just not, so far on paper, a good matchup, even though there's some injuries that we're going to get to towards the end of this that we're going to talk about for Tennessee. But now, Georgia has, so far this season, reestablished the running game. They are 19th in the country with a, 239 yards average on the ground. That's pretty good. And then for each carry, they're 24th with a 5.4 rush yard average. That is some good stuff. We just talked about how pretty Texas A&M's run average at 5.4. That's even better. Texas A&M rush defense is 33rd in the country, allowing 103.5 yards per game so far. And then to look at something that was pretty interesting, 81st in the country for allowing runs for a first down, which is 9. Again, if Georgia wants to win this, they need to make sure that they are running the ball effectively and then picking up first downs on the ground. If that's happening, Georgia fans, you're going to be having a good time. But I'm still worried about the Bulldogs in the red zone. They were struggling against Austin Peay, who won the previous week against Middle Tennessee State. They were ahead in that game throughout. So it's a decent FCS program, definitely punching above their weight and making it a competitive game. But Georgia, I think because of that weather delay last week, kind of the reason why they were slow and not in form as they should be. But again, a little worried there for the Georgia offense in the red zone. But you guys, what does that mean for the Volunteers? Well, they need to get Georgia in 3rd and long scenarios because, again, I don't like Gunnar Stockton so far as the new quarterback for the Bulldogs. Since he has been slinging it at the quarterback position, Georgia is 69th in the country on third downs. That's all third downs, whether it's on the run or through the air. That's a 37.5% chance of converting to getting the ball over the line there to move the chains. That is not good whatsoever. And then on top of that, they've had an interesting average of third down attempts per game. They're 20th in the country with 16. That's obviously because of the amount of running that they have been doing. Again, 239 yards per game on the ground, that is some good numbers. But the reason of why we're seeing such a high third down attempts per game is because of that. But if they're failing on third down quite a bit as well, 37.5, that's something I think Tennessee needs to exploit in creating third and long scenarios. They want to get Gunnar Stockton trying to throw the ball and putting as much pressure on that young quarterback. Now, what's negative for Tennessee besides the injuries? Well, there's not much, to be quite honest with you, what we've seen so far in the 2 games that they have played. Joey Aguilar hasn't thrown an interception yet, and the only turnover has been a fumble for a loss. That's it. I think they fumbled it maybe a couple more times, but they didn't lose possession. It's been 1 turnover so far, and their turnover margin is a pretty number as well. That's just not going good into this. Maybe a Tennessee fan could tell me a negative that they see that they can nitpick, so that they can maybe have a little bit of pessimism going into this, because again, it's Georgia. They haven't lost to the Volunteers since 2016. That's a long time ago when we really think about it in football years. Georgia so far this year have fumbled it twice. If we see that happen like it was in 2024 be an issue, the Volunteers are just going to have a lot more positives going their way. And then when Georgia gets their opponents on third down, they're 14th in the country. Maybe that could be a negative going towards Tennessee. Their defense is playing some really great third down defending there. That's 20% chance of getting a third down converted to a first down. And then Tennessee, I guess the only kind of number where we can see where they kind of did bad, you can only really look at the Syracuse game. They went 7 for 12 on third. So those numbers are definitely probably going to get towards the middle of each other. 20% versus that, I don't know what 7 divided by 12 is, but it's a pretty big number. Then 20%. It's going to be in and around that middle range of those two. Another thing to mention, this game hasn't occurred in September since 2018. And the last time it has happened around the similar date was 1995, and that was when Tennessee was dominating the series. It's really been since this new century where Georgia has kind of turned the series number around in their favor, and especially under not only Kirby Smart, but their coach, I'm forgetting his last name, Rich or Reich. Regardless, Georgia has owned this series in the 21st century. This game is going to come down to Gunnar Stockton moving the chains in key moments, especially on third and long scenarios. If they can't, it's going to be a bad time. It's going to be a bad time for Georgia. And Georgia being well prepared to stopping the Volunteers' run game. They got to be able to stop Tennessee from moving the ball on the ground, whether it's Aguilar, Bishop, or Thompson, who we're going to be talking about here in a few moments. But for injuries, we do have quite a few for Tennessee and a few for Georgia. Ernest Green, the third, is probable. I think slated starting tackle for Georgia. He's probable. He's so far missed the opening 2 games in the 2025 season. Then Juan Gaston, true freshman who started so far this season, especially I think last game. Then it turned into like a rotational line after he went down. Of multiple guys there stepping up, but Uni, Morris, Calhoun got a little bit of playing time there as well. It's gonna be kind of interesting because at least Georgia is kind of preparing themselves for a scenario for more injuries in that department, because it kind of plagued them in 2024, unfortunately. For Tennessee, they have their starting tackle, David Saunders Jr., who I'm kind of disappointed that he's going to be out for this game. He's one of the best true freshman offensive linemen in the country. He has an undisclosed injury at the moment. Jermon McCoy, in the beginning of the stream, you saw that big interception against Alabama in 2024. Unfortunately, that cornerback, he's going to be out for this game with a knee injury. And then another guy in the secondary, Ricky Gibson the second, will be out with an undisclosed injury. That's both of Tennessee's cornerbacks there. Some other guys that are questionable, maybe be impactful. He's already gotten some numbers here for the Volunteers. Tyree Weathersby, he's questionable, that defensive end. And then some other defensive tackles. Davin Hobbs is questionable, and then Jackson Moy, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's going to be questionable going into this contest against Georgia. But with all that said, can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going Tennessee. I just don't like what Gunnar Stockton has showed us so far this season. Maybe he proves us wrong. I'm going to go Volunteers by 5 points. They're going to be breaking that 8-game winning streak of Georgia here in Knoxville. And the reason why, Tennessee's running game, I really, really like these running backs. They have definitely more than, I think, replaced Sampson, who was going to be a big hole going into 2025. But Star Thomas and then Deshaun Gibson, if they can average 4.2 yards in this game, I think Tennessee wins this, or more than that. If they can get more than that, I think they definitely will be winning this. This was kind of my issue in the offseason that I brought up in that preview video for week 3, was Georgia's defensive line going up against an excellent offensive line. Even though I think Tennessee, they've had some ins and outs. They bring in a guy from Notre Dame in Pendleton, another guy from Arizona, and Wendell Moe. And then they've had not really guys that have been around campus, unfortunately, or have been starters. They lost some veterans there from 2024, but it looks like so far that they have all their eggs in order to make not only this a game, but a game that is very winnable, especially with all the injuries on defense that we just talked about. But yeah, we're going to go Volunteers by 5 again. Can't believe I'm saying that. As those are our 5 in-depth previews